You said you had so many things planned out that you wanted us to discuss.
Yeah. Oh, what?
And here we are with the opportunity of an hour on the road.
I can't even think of any of them.
And you can't even think of any of them.
No. Look, I handled 75% of the last podcast. This one's on you. I'm driving.
It wasn't my fault.
It ain't my fault.
I was sick. I even put an apology text on the video saying, I'm sorry, I wanted to be more a part of this, but I couldn't talk, and I want y'all to suffer and having to hear my voice. This the whole time.
No, that's so you could be like, flat Earth? That's all shaggy. I don't know about flat Earth.
No comprende. No Nintendo.
No Nintendo. All right, so... Well, let's see. What can we talk about? This one may require some editing. I'm drawing a blank. I had a bunch of things. Oh, we can talk about the moon. Yeah, that's a good one. That's one of the ones that this kind of goes along with the whole flat Earth idea. Has G heard anything about this? Have you talked to him about any of this? Okay.
No, we're not doing another flat Earth PairUcast.
She's like, let me out.
We're not doing another flat Earth PairUcast.
No, we're not.
At Lowe's. Watched it, but I fell asleep. But still.
That is loyalty right there. No, we the thing with the moon, how it's there's a couple different things about the moons that are interesting, but just going back to the moon landing hoax. Man, if you take 10-15 minutes and look at the evidence, you'll find you're going to come away with at least one thing for sure. The footage that they've shown us, the video and the photographic footage, is garbage. It's not real. It can't be. It's a soundstage. Now that doesn't mean they didn't go.
It's not Steven Spielberg for sure.
No. Oh yeah, exactly. It's not Stanley Kubrick either. But you've got basically three camps. You got the camp that most of the people are in that says we went to the moon, shut up, everything's good, go back to sleep, okay. That's probably not a fair assessment of what they believe, but basically they believe everything that they're told from NASA. They went to the moon, all that good stuff. Then you got the second camp that says we didn't go because we can't go. They don't have the technology, whatever. I haven't really looked much into that camp, but they're pretty adamant about, didn't go, can't go, won't go, all that kind of stuff. I say, and I'm not going to speak for you gentlemen, but I fall in a third category that says we went. Well, I'm going to have to preface this by saying I used to be. The whole flat Earth stuff kind of raises some questions about going to the moon at all, but again, that's a separate podcast. So keeping with the mindset that we do live in a heliocentric modeled universe and there's a moon we could actually go to. Let's just start from that premise. I would fall in the third camp that says we went, but the regular
didn't actually see the footage.
Oh, none of it.
The accurate footage.
Yeah, they haven't shown us the video or the photographic evidence of it, and that would be because of what they found. They're not going to show us. They're not going to release that to the public. So,
well, they say in the future, like NASA, you ever seen the movie The Martian?
Yes.
You know how the NASA was actually public? Anything they show on satellite, they had to release to the public.
Right.
Because of their law or whatever now back then.
But that's garbage. That's not even true. That was never true from what I've heard. And here's an example. They just recently released, and I think they're supposed to do some kind of a documentary or something about it where there was music in space that the early missions in orbit, that I don't think it was the trip to the moon, supposedly, but it was something. I have to look this up again, but the astronauts reported hearing some kind of space music.
I heard about that.
You're right. Well,
Yeah.
they classified it. NASA classified it. They didn't let it out, and that's because what a lot of people don't realize is NASA is not a public organization. It's a private. Well, it's a military thing, and they're not about.
The government has to be like, what do you got? Okay. You
Oh,
can't
yeah.
Show that. You can't show that.
Absolutely,
You
they're
can't show
not
that
gonna.
selfie, by the way. You can't do
Yep.
that. Basically.
They're not
So-
letting that stuff out.
If we went to the moon, there's a physical moon.
Well, that would be that's the thing. You know, if we did actually go to the moon, then it's a what would you call it?
It's physical. It's actually real. It's not a projection.
Right. Now that breaks down into two more ideas. And if you look of the evidence of Pro 777 on YouTube, this mic's driving me crazy. I keep feeling like I'm losing it. It's fine though. It's just my imagination.
It's just you.
If you look at the work of Pro 777 on YouTube, he looks at a lot of things, but all of it is moon related. But the thing that got my attention was the lunar wave anomaly that he captured. And if it was just him, then you could say, he hoaxed it or whatever. Now he shows, he breaks down the math and shows you that, why it proves that he didn't fake it. But still, that's one guy. He can say whatever he wants. He could, however he wants to prove that he didn't fake it. But when he put out the call to other people and he told them the predicted time to look throughout the year, like the winter and summer solstice, well, he got a guy from Houston now this has been a while since I looked into it, but the last guy to capture this phenomenon, and it was the 7th time, I believe, was in Houston. Mm-hmm. And totally independent, did not know the guy. He just put it out there for anybody to do. And what it is, when you catch this thing, it is weird looking. There is this, the best way I can describe it, it's like when you have an old VCR tape and you're watching it, and there's that line that would form at the bottom of the TV and it would roll up. It's just
slowly.
It's just a problem with the tape.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like in his video footage. You saw this line at the bottom of the moon, and it just ripples all the way across the entire face of the moon. And I was like, what am I looking at here? What is going on right now? And what his idea is, that there's two possible theories with this.
And it was like a refreshing.
Right. Well, one is that the whole moon is fake. It's just a holographic image of some kind. The other one is that, and this is probably more plausible, I guess, well, excluding the flat Earth idea, that it may be something like a freaking Death Star. It's some kind of giant ancient spacecraft, and the moon's surface that we see right now looking out our window is actually a holographic image that's being projected over it. And that ripple is, like you just said, a resetting of the holographic.
Like a refresh rate from like a television, like a CRT.
Exactly.
Old bubble screen.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you record them on camera, you see that wave, because it's refreshing.
Right. That's a total trip and that's the thing about our moon. Our moon is anomalous. It's not normal. Based on what they tell us they see out in space, our moon is bigger than it should be, closer than it should be, all these weird things about it that just don't seem to make sense. So I don't know. I mean, and others have proposed for years that the moon was towed into orbit, or that, there's been different theories, but the idea of the moon hoax landing goes back to that one documentary we saw by Jay Weidner, and he had the movie talking about Stanley Kubrick and how the famous director Stanley Kubrick, they got whoever they are, the shadowy elites, the secret government cabal, whatever name you want to put on them, that they got Stanley Kubrick to be the director for the faking of the moon landing, and they filmed it. Some would actually say, and this makes sense, out in Area 51, and that's one of the reasons why that area that is so secretive, because that's the set for the moon landing. And some would even say that's also the set where the Mars rovers are rolling around right now, that they're not actually on Mars. They're freaking in Area 51. But Stanley Kubrick, he actually was supposedly the director to film the moon landing hoax, and he did it with front screen projection. Now, Jay Weidner shows in his documentary good evidence that I think will just, it'll really blow your mind. It's that shocking, and I can't remember right now what his freaking documentary is called. It's driving me crazy.
His speed limit's like 60 over here. That's why he's like bolting ahead of you.
Oh, crap. Okay. He's Michael Bolton ahead of me.
Yeah, pretty much.
But they so they got him to do it, and there's a lot of good evidence that front screen projection was used in the faking of the footage that we saw. But Stanley Kubrick, he's thinking he's going to actually be part of this elite group. But he finds out real quick that they're not letting him in, they just used him. And his last movie that he did was Eyes Wide Shut. And he died during the making of that movie. And it was reported that he was so paranoid that he would be in a golf cart with a loaded shotgun going around his property, because he was freaked out that they were going to get him. And he did die before that film was finished, and they got somebody else to come in and do it. And people that knew him, from what I understand, people that knew him personally said that was not the vision he had, that they changed something about that movie. And if you know anything about Eyes Wide Shut, have you ever seen that, G? I didn't ask John because I know better. Eyes Wide Shut with, what's his name? Tom Cruise and, damn it.
I heard of it. I just never seen it.
Steven Seagal.
No. the girl.
Van Damme.
No. His wife in the movie, who was also his wife in real life.
I heard it. I just never seen it.
I can't think of her name, and anybody that knows is like screaming at their TV right now.
Reese Witherspoon.
No. Fail. Nah, but damn, I almost had it. God dang it. It was right there. It was right there. Yeah. But anyhow, so that movie, really shows that the idea of the secret societies and what they do behind closed doors, and it's really weird. But his remake or his movie adaptation of Stephen King's book, The Shining, right, was totally different from the book. There were so many things that were changed, and the way Jay Weidner explains it in his documentary is that every time he made a major change to the storyline, he was telling us something, and he basically took the book, The Shining, and he told the movie. I mean, he told the story from the book, but he used that as a platform to tell the world in a cryptic format that he was the guy that faked the moon landing and what it did to him and everything that was involved.
like kind of like in the different terms, he was just saying like I did it, but saying it in a different way.
Yeah, because he can't say it.
Yeah, right. He can't be like, hey, I made the moon landing, by the way.
Exactly.
She's just trying to be like, hey, let's record this desert, make it seem like, I'm recording something, but I'm really showing you this is how I recorded the moon landing, by the way.
Exactly. And he starts the film out, the main characters, Jack Nicholson and his family.
I watched the movie now. I heard about it.
Dude, this is a trip. They show, on their way to show up to the hotel, which I cannot remember what it's called now. The Overlook, I think is what it is, the Overlook Hotel. In the book, they're in and this will tell you what I'm talking about. This is so subtle, but it's so smack in the face. They're in a yellow VW Bug Volkswagen in the book.
Uh-huh.
In the movie adaptation, he has them in a red one, and right at the beginning, they roll by a car wreck scene, and the car that's wrecked is a yellow VW Bug, and it is destroyed. And they slow down, they all look at it, and then they keep rolling on by. That's not in the book. That was, and this is Jay Weidner's idea, that was Stanley Kubrick telling Stephen King, this is your story, but I'm hijacking it. I'm taking it, and I'm going to tell my story through your thing. And that's right at the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it goes on, and there's so many other just jaw-dropping things, but the one that got me the most, that made everybody go, what the hell? There's a scene where the little boy, he's got a ball. He's rolling this ball. At one point, he rolls it, and the ball never comes back. And he just keeps playing with his trucks like so what? So no big deal. But the trucks that he have are all laid out in a position that's like the NASA, like when the rockets would take off. And it looks like the landing pad, in other words. And the carpet pattern looks like the landing pad. And he's got these trucks and everything. But like Jay Widener points out, but where's the rocket? Well, at one point the ball comes rolling back. Well, Danny is the name of the boy's name. Well, he goes to stand up to see where the ball came from, and they pan the shot back out, and he's got this crudely sewn rocket with USA on his shirt, a big rocket. And as he stands up, that's the rocket taking off. Now he walks over to the room where the ball came from, and the room number was like, I won't get this right, but the number isn't the point. The number on the door was actually changed from the original number in the story to the number of the miles distance from the Earth to the moon. That was Danny being the rocket flying over to the moon. That has nothing to do with the story of The Shining at all. That was just, it was jaw-dropping, dude, to see that. Stanley Kubrick worked all that in there, and that was just another one of the ways he was letting out that he's the one that faked the moon landing. And that room that was the moon room, the number, was the room where all the activity happened. It was the bad room, the room you wasn't supposed to go in, the room you wasn't supposed to talk about. That is crazy, dude. And that's just one little piece. It was the biggest one. It was the one that really just, there wasn't one person I've shown that documentary to that didn't get to that point and be like, jaw on the floor, like, what? It was nuts. But yeah, I think, personally, I think the photos and the videos that we've seen of the moon, they're fake. And I can prove, I know they're fake. You can go to the Museum of Natural Science here in Houston, and you go to the planetarium, and when you're waiting in line, you got this round corridor. You go around and get to the planetarium, and they got these ginormica pictures that are the moon pictures, and they're blown up and they're plastered on the wall. And you can see one of the telltale signs of fakery, where the cameras that the astronauts supposedly used on the moon had these crosshairs etched into the glass of the lens. Nothing could be in front of the crosshairs. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Okay? In that photo, you can see some kind of white bag or some kind of device that they would have used, and it's clearly in front of the crosshair. In the photo that they've blown up for you to stare at while you're in line waiting to go to the planetarium. And it's just one of several images or several objects that are in front of the crosshairs. Well, that's not possible unless you're dealing with photo fakery. Now, after some of this stuff came out, they came out and admitted that they had some staged photos for what was the promotional purposes. These photos are beautiful. I mean, they're like epic, but they're staged, and they claim they are. But some of the video footage. Okay, well, here's an example. Well, you see the video footage. When the limb is lowered, the rocket ship that they were in, as it's lowered to the moon, it's got the thrust booster. I can't remember what they call it, but it's so it lands softly, right? So it's got a rocket, an aft booster or whatever. Well, in the photos on the moon, after they've already landed, you see the gold shiny foil on the feet. There's not a speck of moon dust on those feet anywhere. That stuff is powdered like freaking sand. That stuff should have blown everywhere. So unless they got out there with some kind of a hoover and sucked all that up before they took a picture, something don't make sense. Now, I know the Mythbusters, which personally, I think they're bought and paid for. They're a mouthpiece for whenever it comes to conspiracies or any of these kind of things. They debunk every one of them.
Yep.
And I don't think they do them justice, really. I think they're paid to promote the prevailing theory. They're not about to make waves, because then there's no show. So they debunked all this moon landing hoax stuff, and I seen it, and I was not impressed. I'm sorry, I don't think they did a very good job.
Like the waving flag and the pressure container, and the shoe print. They did those couple things.
The waving flag I'd seen elsewhere, and I guess, you know, some of it made sense, you know, but I saw that from other people before them. But there's just too many questions. There's too many problems with, you know, what they've shown, their evidence, and why didn't we ever go back? I mean, if the moon was, if it was such a great thing, you know, it was an American achievement, which, by the way, here's another problem with it. Russia was kicking our ass every step of the way. They were the first at everything. The first rocket, the first animal, the first human, the first satellite. They beat us every step of the way. We had rockets blowing up left and right and crashing and everything. One of the astronauts, he was either Buzz or Neil. I want to say it was Buzz, in the limb that he was going to have to land in. There's video footage of him almost dying because he had to eject because he couldn't fly that goofy thing. But his first time on the moon, he landed perfect, flawless victory. I mean, come on. But
coming from a guy who was a Nazi, you know, from NASA. What's his name?
Oh, you're thinking of the rocket guy.
Yeah, and then how we like
Von Braun.
Yeah, how our rockets weren't that great until he came along, and somehow everything changed. Yeah,
but so Russia kicks our butt every step of the way, but we're the first to land someone on the moon. That was, you know, I mean, and when you think about how great Hollywood is, you know, our movies are still better than everybody else's. We got the best special effects, best acting, all that kind of stuff. So it's not surprising that, you know, man, we're losing this space waste war. You know, we can't try to send somebody up there and have them die, you know, for live TV, for people to see it. So we're faking the soundstage. That's not surprising at all. In fact, that makes total sense. But
because if they had plans to go anyway, and they just fake it first, they're like, well, what's the harm in it? We'll just fake it now because we plan on going there anyway.
Right.
You know, so I mean, we'll just make everybody think that we were first, and it's more of an American way. Everybody's happy. The people are happy because back, you know, during that time, it was all like, yeah, the U.S. and, you know, the government, you're doing great things. Now it's, you know, totally opposite of that.
So, but here's a good reason why that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, maybe some, but if the moon was such a great achievement, right, how come no one else has gone back? We haven't gone back and no one else has tried to go the first time. Now, technology has increased immensely. We've got, you know, this phone that I have right here has got, you know, 4 or 5, maybe 10 times the processing power that the entire spacecraft had that supposedly went to the moon.
Yeah.
Why haven't we gone back? I mean, it's the theory is that it's either they got there and they were told by somebody else not to come back, or they never went at all, or they did and you know, found, you know, stuff and made some kind of a secret agreement with everybody else. You know, we got to keep this a secret for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But, you know,
y'all don't come flying, you know, on Earth's atmosphere, you know, where people can find out that there's aliens. And we won't come and take whatever you're mining up.
Well, yeah, now that's true too, but I was thinking more along the lines of the rest of the world. Like, you know, for example, why hasn't China hasn't gone, Russia hasn't gone, but all the technology has increased. And, you know, I mean, like us, they're talking about going back to the moon and then on to Mars, but it's going to be like 20 years. What? Y'all did it once already with duct tape and bubblegum technology, but you can't do it now?
Because it supposedly takes, one-way trip, so many years to get there. And so whoever goes up there, they have to basically, going by what they tell us, obviously, they have to devote the rest of their life to this.
Now that's the Mars trip.
Okay,
moon, just back to the moon.
That's what I thought you said.
Oh, well, I said, well, you're both really, you know, because they're supposed to go back to the moon and then on to Mars. And it's like, I mean, what's the holdup? Now, one thing we heard is that scientists recently were coming out and saying that they still haven't solved the problem of the Van Allen radiation belt. Squeeze me, baking powder, but didn't y'all do that in the 60s with duct tape and bubblegum technology? You made it through then. You're saying you can't do that now? They're worried about the astronaut safety. So that's really, did someone slip up there? Because that's almost like cat out the bag, big time. I haven't heard an explanation for that. That, you know, if there is one, great, but I haven't heard it. It sounds like they really just, you know, dropped the ball. But I don't know. I don't think, is it Huck? Why does that truck look dark?
There's probably another one up there.
Man, please tell me I haven't gone the wrong way, because
You've been following them right.
Okay, because I was not. I'm rambling. I'm running my mouth. I'm not paying attention at all. That does not look like a white truck ahead of us. All right, our first paranormal anomaly truck. Huck's truck has changed colors. Kind of like our hair did. Oh. So yeah. So what do y'all think? Oh, okay. Maybe it's just the shadowing. What do y'all think about the whole moon landing business?
It was directed by Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. No, there wasn't enough explosions.
Yeah. It's another alien movie.
Yeah, right. Well, I loved how in that one, speaking of Michael Bay, that one, what was that one? Was it Dark of the Moon? Or they had one where the Apollo 11 mission was really
that's
top secret mission.
That's what I was thinking about too. I was like,
Yeah.
didn't Michael Bay made like that one scene with the Transformers where they crashed their ship into the moon, and it turns out it was there the entire time, and that's the reason why they went over there in the first place.
I just find it hard to believe that all the moon dirt and dust is gray. You know, like a black and white photo.
Right.
With no color.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All of it, you know, because, you know, when they say how all the planets formed, you know, there's a bunch of space rock, you know, and over, you know, so many millennia or whatever, they all collide and build these big old balls, and then a rock ball.
Right.
And gravity holds it together, and then a gravitational pull is there, and then as it gets bigger, it pulls more. So if it's bringing random space rock, wherever that came from to begin with anyway.
Right.
How is it that the moon is all one color?
I never even thought about that one, dude. That's a good one. Well, that's just like Mars. I mean, they originally, you know, they've always said Mars was this barren, red-looking, you know, dead planet. And I remember Richard Hoagland, the Face on Mars guy, talking about way back in the day when he was the CBS science advisor to Walter Cronkite. You know, he was like their science guy.
Klondike?
Walter Cronkite. There we go. I didn't get it out. So, anyhow, he said that he remembered when the first images came through, they were colored images, and it looked like Arizona. And they went back and were turning the monitors, turning up the gains on all the red to make it look like what we all saw. And one of the scientist's sons was an intern. He saw that they did that, and he went back and he fixed them all back. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with it? Why did they do that? And they called him in the office, and man, tore him a new one, threatened to have them both thrown out, and it was a big deal. So they wanted to, for some reason, they wanted to promote this dead, you know, red, you know, barren planet. And the idea is that it's a trickle down. They're giving us a little bit of information at a time, drip, drip, drip. So what, back in the day, Mars is lifeless, waterless, red, and dead. Now what do we know today? If you see images today, you see blue sky, you see a reddish brown. It's not the same. I mean, the sky was red in the old photos. It was like red. They did a filter over it, you know?
Yeah.
And for years they said, no water, no water. Oh, well, we got some ice caps. Oh, we found some water. Oh, now we got running water. What? That's why there's that internet meme that shows, you know, NASA, you know, saying something to Mars, you know, we can't make it, it's too far away, and Mars says, I'm wet, NASA says, I'll be right over. You know? Seen that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that one. It's freaking hilarious. So, and that's kind of the way they're acting. You know, oh, there's water. Oh, we're running over there. But, you know, all this time, you know, they said there's no water, there's no ice, there's no nothing. Well, people like Richard Hoagland and others have been saying there was water on Mars due to the photographic images that they've been analyzing. They've been saying it for decades. So there's some kind of withholding of information, clearly, that's been going on for probably thousands of years, honestly. I mean, if we want to get serious about this, it's not just our modern age. Information has been withheld to the masses forever. I mean, back when the Catholic Church, when they ruled with an iron fist, you were not allowed to have a Bible and read it. You couldn't even translate it into the language. I mean, they'd burn your ass at the stake. I mean, they didn't mess around. They wanted to have that's control. If you've got all the knowledge, you got all the control. That comes with all the power and the wealth and everything else. So by doing that, no one could read the Bible and see that the Bible speaks of a personal, you know, relationship, you and God. You don't have to go through some mediator. Well, now you fast forward to now, and science is the new religion. Science is the new religion, and these people are dogmatic. It's insane the way they run things, and they're not even scientific. The people today that call themselves scientists, they are not scientific because they push and promote and cram theories down our throats with no evidence to back any of it up. I mean, it's mind-blowing, and everybody just swallows it because they don't really know any better. They've been programmed, you know, so that's why when people like us, when we question, just raise the question about the Earth, well, is it really a ball? Is this really a heliocentric universe? Where's the evidence? Sit down and shut up. We'll tell you what to think and what to believe. And their science, again, it's all theory. It's the theory of evolution. The theory of this, the theory of that, but they never produce any facts. There's never any concrete evidence. It's a religion. If you have to believe it, it takes faith. It's a religion. Hello. So, but they've managed to. They're just the new Catholic Church. You know, they're the new dominant religion that is in control.
But how much of it can we prove anyway?
Exactly. How much can we prove? I mean, that's why my motto, question everything and believe very little. If you believe only things that you can prove yourself, not what someone else tells you, not what NASA or not what the priest or not what, the internet. If you believe only what you can prove with your own senses, sight, sound, smell, what science used to be, right? Coming up with a theory, testing that theory, repeating that theory, there's your science fact. That's proven. Electricity runs to this outlet. If I take this paper clip and I stick it in it's going to shock me. It's a theory. Let's try it. Yep, it worked. Let's try it again. Yep, worked again. Fact. That's the basic foundation of the scientific method. It's like they don't do that no more. They come up with a theory. They base their entire life around it, and then they push it down everybody's throats. And that's what I see. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but
I believe in science.
Science is the new religion.
Well, then you seen the
He's a Scientologist.
you seen Star Trek, right?
Oh, we're gonna get sued now. Great, John.
You seen Star Trek, right? The new ones.
You ain't looked into that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You seen Star Trek, right? The new ones, right? The new movies.
Oh yeah, dude.
You know that one scene when the ship comes up out of the water, and those natives see that ship,
yes,
and they make a sign like that's the religion.
They
whatever.
drop their ancient religious text and start, and they draw the ship.
And it has me thinking like maybe back then, how like the old natives, they interpreted what they saw, what they saw,
That's the ancient astronaut theory right there. Well, that idea comes from cargo cults, the modern version of that. Have you ever heard of a cargo cult?
Nah.
Okay, you're going to love this because it's exactly what you just described, but it's here on good old planet Earth, right? Back in, I want to say it was World War II. I'm not positive, but there were islands that our military, would land on. They would build bases and they would take up residence, during the war. and there were all these ancient cultures that still lived there, still in their, loincloth and their bone and stone tool, and they're very, they're like still living in the ancient past. They're seeing all these men with their uniforms, and they got all these weapons, and then this giant metal bird flies by and drops, boxes full of food, and they, as kind of a thank you to letting us use your island, even though we can do it anyway, stop us, they would give them food, cans of beans and whatever. And so when the war was over and they closed up shop and left, then all the natives were like, what happened to the gods? What happened to the giant metal bird that brought us food? We liked that when that happened. We would like that happen again. So they turned to their priest and was like, dude, quit slacking. Come on, man. What's the deal? So they actually made mock uniforms. They made giant straw planes, and they would do these rituals trying to get the gods to come back, the big metal bird and all these other people with the food to come back. They felt like they had angered the gods or, disrespected them in some way, so they left. They wanted them to come back. And that's where you get the cargo cult idea, and that is the ancient astronaut theory in modern times at work, right there where you could see it. That's crazy. I mean, because you picture, what is that? That's a deer.
Yeah.
Nice. Where's Sasquatch at? Oh,
But
Yeah, that's what I was wearing too.
what in your brain, if you see something, maybe not today in modern times, it's a little
Right.
bit different, but, what in your brain tells you that just because you see something you've never seen before, that it's a higher power and you should start to worship that?
Now that's an interesting thought all in and of itself. I mean, where does that idea come from?
Yeah,
Initially.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's probably something in your brain, but what tells you, hey, this is better than I am,
Well, what
bow
they would
down
say, the way I understand it is, there was a time in our ancient past where there were godlike beings among us, right? And they were here from the very beginning, possibly, and that memory has stayed with us, even if it's encoded in our DNA, right? So when you look at three things that we still seem to be fascinated with as human beings on planet Earth here, we're fascinated with worshiping of some kind of a god. We have a fascination, a love of gold, and we practice slavery. So gold, slavery, worship of gods, these things have been going on like since the beginning, thousands of years. And I think that answers a lot. Are we here yet? No, this ain't it.
No, we're almost here, though.
Oh, we're almost there. Whew, almost to Ghost Road. All right, so I think we did. That was a pretty good podcast. Anybody want to wrap it up? Close it out with anything?
Want to say shout out to my homegirl.
Yeah. Peace. Thanks to you two for word up. Yada yada. I'm trying to drive here. You gotta excuse me.
Be like, damn, Daniel.
You're trying to give a shout out to Little Snoopy?
Little Snoopy.
Little Snoopita.
Pour one out for my homies.
Thanks for our guest here, Mr. G Spot. Yeah, I'm guessing he's way tired of that nickname.
What name? I have a lot of nicknames.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I should have bought my Ray Booty sign.
It was all in your mind.